A ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
I've been waiting for an opportunity like this. Let's go. A quick backstory about the house that I'm currently in with my wife in 2018. And it was a flip. I had been sitting for about 3 years before anyone came in to redo it to sell it. So now let's fast forward to the summer of 2022. And also I want to say that this is the first thing that's actually happened here. If you want to know more about it, just let me know and I'll tell you more, or I'll just make another video, whatever. So anybody knows when you have a newborn, there's a lot of no sleeping going on. So this one particular morning, I think it was about like 7 o'clock in the morning, in the middle of the night, my son woke up in his sleep. So I went into his room to, soothe him, get him back to sleep, and I end up falling asleep in his room. So like I said, I'm pretty sure it's like 7 o'clock in the morning, but it's how I woke up. So I get woken up by someone touching my arm, like going up my arm, like that. And with the sensation of like feeling like a hand touching my arm and like going up, it's like with the sensation going up is how my eyes open. Like, so the feeling going up my arm was slow, but like my eyes started to open slow with the feeling opening up. So with that feeling, I kind of like, jump out of my sleep and I'm like opening up my eyes. So everything is like really blurry, but within my vision, I thought I saw my wife waking me up. And within like those few seconds, I saw that, she was like crouched down, and I feel like I watched her from the crouched position stand up, kind of look at me, turn around, and walk out of the room. So like, I'm even rubbing my eyes, trying to, just get my vision back. And I even felt like within those like 2 seconds, because all this happened like so quick, that even just for me, like rubbing my eyes, I felt like she walked out and got out of the room like super quick. And I feel like I watched her walk kind of slow. So yeah. So from there, I get up, stretch, and I walk out the room and then into my room where my wife is in bed with our newborn daughter. But when I get in there and I look in at the bed, my wife is asleep, like deep sleep, like such a deep sleep that me trying to process this whole thing, like there's no way that from the moment she came and woke me up and got into that room, that she got back into bed, comfortable underneath the blanket, and fell back to sleep. There's no way that she fell asleep that fast, because she's just not that type of person. So that was freaky. I was mind blown. I'm just like, what just happened? Because I know for sure I saw her wake me up, even like touch my arm, which isn't out of the ordinary for her. That's how she even wakes me up, or like a way that she wakes me up. So that's like even not out of character for her to even do. So I was just really dumbfounded. So now a second morning, and again, I feel like it was like 7 o'clock in the morning. And a quick backstory, around this time, again, my daughter is a newborn, and she is like throwing up a lot, breast milk, how babies do. So there's been like so many times where she throws up and we gotta clean up a lot. So again, I'm in my son's room because he woke up in the middle of the night, and I fell asleep in there with him. And not even 2 seconds after me waking up, all of a sudden I hear from my room, it's my wife's voice saying she just fucking threw up everywhere. So for me hearing that, I'm like, okay, it's not something that I want to do as soon as I wake up. But I get up, I walk out the room into my wife's room, and can you guess what happened? Yeah, I walk in and her and my daughter are both still sound asleep. And I don't know how to explain that. I've definitely had some more experiences in this house, so just, I guess, like, comment, Tell me you want to hear more, and I'll tell you more. I'll be glad to tell you more.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely true.
Alright, so we back. Let's get it. Back again, hopping on this trend. Let's go. So if you saw my first video, I'm talking about the house that I moved into with my wife in 2018 and the house that I am currently living in. So even just purchasing the home, looking through the home at first, and even moving into the home, nothing felt off. I definitely feel like I'm someone who's pretty sensitive to paranormal, ghosts, things, whatever you want to call, spiritual, whatever. I'm not exactly sure when things started happening, but it was relatively at the beginning of living in the house. But it was like little things, like I would, turn off lights at night because, now I'm paying my own electric bill. So I'm definitely making sure lights are being turned off. I would turn off the dining room light at night, and then I'd wake up in the morning and it'd be on, and just sit there kind of stuck and confused. And, I asked my wife, like, yo, did you wake up in the middle of the night and turn the light on, forget to turn it off? And, she would say no. And I'm like, and then she'd be like, did you turn it off? Are you sure you turned it off? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I turned that off. So that was one thing. And then something else that would happen was the kitchen was redone, and whoever flipped the house, they put in like a farmhouse sink. So I don't know if anyone knows exactly what it is, but it's just a bigger sink, and it's metal. But yeah, it's just a big metal sink. And I would have times where I'd be alone in the house, and it would just sound like someone's running the faucet. Like I would hear the faucet going, like the water even hitting the sink. And it also sounded like someone was doing the dishes, to where I would hear like utensils, forks, knives, spoons, things like that, just kind of hitting the sink, like they're being dropped in there, just like someone's washing the dishes. And it wasn't just me, because even times where my wife was alone at the house, she would hear the same thing. And at this time too, when we moved in, we didn't have any kids, so it was just me and her. So there are a good few times where it was just us in the house, or just one or the other in the house, and experiencing these things. And there was also times where all of a sudden I would get a huge whiff of cigarettes. Don't smoke cigarettes. My wife don't smoke cigarettes. There's even times where at that time I was working 12-hour night shifts. So my wife would come in from being done at work, and I had my day off, and I would ask her yo, did you stop at your grandma's house before you came here? And she'd be like, no, and ask me why. And I'm like, dude, I smell a strong scent of cigarettes. Couldn't explain that. Also, one particular night, again, it's just me and my wife and our two little dogs. We have two Chihuahuas, and our backyard wasn't fenced in yet, so we had to walk them for them to use the bathroom. And this time I watched my wife take both our dogs out, and I'm watching her out the front window. It's nighttime, and I'm watching her walk the dogs. And so it's just me in the house. I got the lights off. It's nighttime, and our upstairs at that time was carpeted too, so carpet all on the main floor, up the hallway. And as I'm watching her outside with the dogs, all of a sudden I start to hear what to me sounded like a large dog kind of speed walking down the hallway. It caught my ear, because I turned to look at the hallway, what the fuck is about to walk up into the living room right now, because it, like I said, it sounded like a big dog to me. I could hear the pads of their foot just walking down the carpet, just a gallop, I guess, in a sense. But I heard it, and I was just what the fuck is about to walk out? But nothing came. It was enough, it was loud enough to where I'm telling you, I turned my head, because I was just anticipating what was about to walk out of the hallway and into the living room with me, but nothing was there. There was also times where I would hear full conversations. If I'm upstairs, it would sound like I'm hearing two people talking to each other, having a conversation downstairs, but it was muffled. So it was like I can hear someone talking, but I could not make out what was being said. Now, there are also times if I was downstairs, it would sound like someone's upstairs, two people having a conversation. Again, a muffled conversation to where like I know I hear someone talking, but I couldn't make out what was being said. And there was also times where I feel like I would hear music playing. And like if I was in the living room, all the rooms in the house are like in like the back of the house, I guess you want to call it, like down the hallway. So if I'm in the living room, I would hear music playing, and it always seemed like so faint coming from like the back rooms. And to me, it sounded like old time music. I don't know. I feel like it'd be the type of music you would listen to on the record player. Now, a lot of this stuff freaks my wife out. She don't like talking about it. I like talking about it, but she doesn't, because she's had her own experiences, not even just in this house, experience that she's had like growing up in the house that she grew up in. But you know, we would have these conversations, and you know, she would just talk about like, I don't want to talk about it anymore, because she felt the more we talked about it inside the house, the more things would happen inside the house. So I'm just trying to respect it. So we stopped talking about it, and for a while things would stop happening, and that's what it was too. It wasn't like almost frequent. It just happened like every now and then. It would just decide to pop up like, hey, I'm still here. But this one particular time we're both in the living room and we're on our phones, it got quiet because we were both just on our phones. And then so I just thought to mention like, hey, have you realized how we haven't heard or like had any experiences recently? And she just looked at me like, I don't know what you're talking about. So from her giving me that answer, I'm like, all right, she don't want to talk about it. I know she knows exactly what I'm talking about, but she don't want to talk about it. So I was like, okay, I just left it alone. No sooner that I finished my sentence, like, okay, like whatever, all of a sudden from the kitchen, it sounded like a glass got pushed across the counter, and we had granite countertops, so it just sounded like a glass cup get pushed across, and it like slid across the counter like a good distance, to where we both just stopped, froze, looked up from our phones, looked at each other, and I was like, you heard that, right? And she was like, yeah. So I got up so quick and I ran through that kitchen, and I'm looking all around like, what is on the counter? And I'm moving everything, like what's on the counter, trying to recreate what I just heard. And I even asked my wife, like, that was glass, right? Like, that was glass you heard? She was like, yeah. And there was nothing on my counter. No glass cup, nothing of me trying to recreate that could recreate that sound that we had just heard, and still can't explain how that happened.